right, hello there. Let's see if this worked. I don't know if it worked. I don't know if you guys, oh my God, this is awful. It is awful. I don't know. Can you guys see me? If you can, oh, it worked. Did it work? No way. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show or the afternoon. I am so frustrated with this whole technical computer thing that I don't know what to do. But anyway, we're here, except for I'm not here. Where the hell am I? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. What the hell's going on there? Okay, that's okay. Oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. So now I guess I'm gonna have to reactivate the camera here. Let's see what's going on with that. What the hell's going on with my camera? I gotta tell you, this is amazing. There I am. Hello, welcome. Good afternoon. I wanted to watch President Biden's press conference today, and but I'm having, oh my God, am I having problems with everything? Everything is just messed up. I'm assuming we're still on YouTube here, and we're on Rumble. Looks like the chat's working, so that's a good thing. Yeah, I know. Let's see. My face is there. Good. Still, look, the color got all messed up again. I don't know what to do about that. But I want to watch the White House press conference. Apparently there's going to be a big boy press conference, they call it. And a little bit ago they hosted the Ukraine, what do they call it? Something about Ukraine. Oh no. I don't want this White House senior living ad. No, it's not a documentary on Boomerang. It's just I'm having major computer problems, and if I could afford to just replace the damn thing, I would, but I can't. So until then, I'm going to do my best with what I got. Now, there was a event on the Ukraine Compact a few minutes ago. And in theory, in about 10 minutes, we're going to have a live press conference with the president at the NATO Summit. Now, you know that here, let me put my face here in normal. If it works. That worked. How about that? They're going to have a press conference at this NATO Summit, which is being held in the United States in Washington. And we're going to see how that goes, because I know there's going to be a lot of questions about whether Biden's going to drop out. And more Democrats are, what's the word for it? Panicking. They're panicking. And more and more calls for him to get out of the race by, I guess there's 2 more congressmen today. More than one senator has done it. Schumer's not on board anymore, it seems like. Nancy Pelosi is kind of half-assed on board, but she's not really. In fact, she will not say if she will support President Biden in his continuation of his campaign. So there's a lot of stuff going on. Okay, that's there. Good. And so we're going to watch this press conference that's supposed to be coming up in the next 10 minutes. We'll see if he keeps it on time. And so we're going to watch the big boy press conference. Welcome to all of you who are here. First, I don't know who's here first because I keep having to refresh shit. I know Bookwormatic was here probably first. Those Ain't Real Dude, Avocados Diabli, Unacceptable Views, Renee Mayette, Mike Savage, Reaction Puerto Rico. Yeah, oh yeah. During the Zelensky thing, he introduced Zelensky as Putin, President Putin. It was hilarious. And I was watching it while I was trying to do this setup, and I laughed my ass off. That is hilarious. Oh, you're drinking whiskey by the pool? Yeah, I'll probably be doing that as soon as this is over, because I'll want to just drown my sorrows knowing that these people are still in charge. JMK, Tyler F., how you doing? I said Renee Mann, those ain't real, dude. Darren Root, Kara Soldier. You're a ridiculous lunatic. Nice to see you, Luna. I call him Luna. And there you go. So Jay Pylon's in the house too. Hi, Jay. So and Kay Shaw, Jesse Leon, the gang's all here. I appreciate you showing up. And in fact, we even have a donation. and Avocados Diabli with the small bullet says, just another headache to add to your problems. So you know the link in your description to Streamlabs is busted. Is it now? You mean the one that Johnny puts up? Is that what you're talking about? So how is okay. Oh, to your descriptions. The link in your descriptions to Streamlabs is busted. I did not know that. I'll fix that as soon as I can. But anyway, so we're here to watch the president attempt to go through an actual press conference. And maybe we have time. Because I don't think it's going to be very long. I don't think that press conference is going to be very long at all. I think it's going to be short and sweet. And, you know, they say it's a big boy press conference, but I ain't buying it. You know what I mean? Let's add a little contrast here. There we go. Now I look kind of normal. How about that? Is that better? That's kind of better. Anyway. So in this, well, I wonder maybe if I have time. Let's open the other one. Let's open the other one and see if we can get, I want to show you the part where he introduced Zelensky, because it's hilarious. They're talking about all this, their commitment to Ukraine and this and that, and Putin doesn't need to be doing what he does. And then he goes to introduce Zelensky, and he introduces him at Putin. I guarantee you that little clip, if the White House leaves it up, I don't know. But it'll be, I hope people have downloaded it. I hope people have downloaded it because it was hilarious. Let me look up here. White House. And everything on my computer is going slow right now, too. I apologize. Hello, Kay. How you doing? Good to see you in the chat. Okay, there's the White House. Let me just, I only want to pull up that moment. Host the events in Ukraine Compact. Here it is. And we're going to mute it for now. And let's see, where was that? That was about, okay, here it is. Here it is. Joe Biden and his remarks a little bit ago. And we'll play this real quick. Maybe.
Do not have to fear aggression from a brutal tyrant next door. I want to commend Ukrainian armed forces as their defense secretary.
Hang on. I'm having problems. Just because I had to start this over so many times. Here we go. Here it is.
Leaders are here as well. And the Ukrainian people, you're incredible. But through all of your country, you're incredible.
You're incredible.
The courage, the determination, the sacrifices they've made. And I commend all the nations that stepped up when it counted to stand with Ukraine. I've said before, Russia will not prevail in this war. Ukraine will prevail in this war. We'll stand with them every single step of the way. You know? That's what the compact says, loudly and clearly. And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. We're going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin, we got to worry about it.
Oh my God.
You are a hell of a better.
Oh my God. That's just precious. Anyway, so it's all, I'm not shocked that it's all over Twitter already, because everyone's just fucking rolling on that. I laughed so hard because I was listening to that. I'm sitting here trying to set up this thing. So my Streamlabs link is busted. In the descriptions, let's just do this. I'm gonna go. I better put. Let's see. Let me make sure that I have volume on the press conference that's coming up. I do. So then when that starts, we can go right to it. But I'll fix that link right now. Man, that is That is special. And I just can't wait till reporters start asking him questions. Okay. Over and under on how long it'll be. Now, by the way, is my link in the Johnny, is Johnny Boomer Tech? Are his links good? I don't see Johnny Boomer Tech's in here yet. Johnny, what are you doing over there? Why aren't you putting out links for me right now? All right, let me try this. I'm going to go into settings while I'm here. Yeah, so, and if I have some time, I will, there's some other articles I can run through, but my concern is this press conference is supposed to start in 2 minutes. I'm not confident that it'll start in 2 minutes, but it's supposed to start in 2 minutes. Let me go into my timer here. CloudBot timer. Are the links in the... Oh, let's see. Let's try this. Let's just see if this link works and I can change it. I suppose I could just copy and paste it. Oh, shoot. What do I do? Okay, let's see. pdognight.live. Well, there we go. All right, let's see if this link works. Oh, that's interesting. So, that I'm going to have to fix. Okay, well, we'll have to fix it. How were you able to do a Streamlabs tip then, AD? I'm just curious now because that's definitely not working. Let's go. I'm going to have to redo the whole link then. Streamlabs. Dashboard. So anyway, we're waiting for the president to here, let me see if I can do a link. Tip page settings. There we go. Here, we'll just change it to this. And let's see. Go back into chat. CloudBot. Yeah, this is all just a pain in the ass. I tell you. Everything that I had to redo for this is the reason why. There we go. We'll change that. Confirm. And then we'll change it in this one. And then we'll change it on the descriptions forever. Confirm. Let's go back into this. Anyway, chat amongst yourself for a minute here. Cheshire Smurf, nice to see you. So Biden is doing the refusing to leave thing. Seems to have been more projecting. Well, I'm not convinced that is true. I'm not convinced that Biden wasn't planning on dropping out all along. I've been saying since chat, how long have I been saying that Joe Biden's going to not going to be the nominee by the time 2024 comes around? I think I've been saying that for 3 years, at least 3.5 years. Ever since he was sworn in, I said he won't be the nominee in 2024. I guarantee it. And seems as though I may be right. Okay, we're still good. Year and a half. I've been saying since 2021, since January 2021, I said I didn't think he'd make it through this presidency. So I've been saying that forever. Here, let's fix the link in the here. Why is Johnny Boomer Tech not putting out links? That's very annoying. Active Cloud Byte, that's on. Okay, and now turn it off, and I'm going to turn it back on. There we go. We'll see if that works. Now back into the description of this video. Let's put the right link in here. pdognight.live. There we go. I'm just changing all the pdog. I think when I think what happened was when I had to change credit cards for the monthly, whatever, Streamlabs. And the little website went to kaput. And I got to change the entire style of this thing anyway, eventually. Is Rumble not working? Good God. You know, sometimes I get that feeling. I get that feeling like I never had before. Oh, good God. This is not working either. This is not what I wanted to be doing today, guys. But again, this is an impromptu stream. Sometimes when you have an impromptu stream, you have impromptu problems. Good weekend project? Yeah, maybe. Although my daughter's going to hang out with us this weekend. So I don't know if I want to spend time doing this or interacting with my daughter, which I always would rather interact with my daughter. Works now, and no Rumble is not working. Okay, well, thank you, Avocados Diablo. That's... All right, well, shit. Okay, let me scroll down here. All right, there we go. Now I'll change that link too. Okay, well, I guess it doesn't matter if I change it in Rumble because Rumble's not working anyway. So I'm going to close my Rumble window to take up less resources on my computer, and maybe this will go smoothly. So anyway, we're waiting for President Biden and his press conference. Let's go and thank you again, AD. I appreciate you, man. Let's go and while we're waiting, I'll just turn the volume up and make sure that if we hear that thing fire up, we'll go immediately to it. But as I was looking through the internet while I was before I started this, I came up with this article from Ace of Spades blog. White House officials leaked to CNN. This is CNN. Everything Biden does is scripted and tightly stage managed, including meetings with his own cabinet. I mean, it's really Obama's cabinet, but you know what they mean. After Biden declared that talk of him withdrawing must end, Jesse Waters, I believe, predicted that the White House officials and cabinet members would begin leaking against Biden, which they are doing. Oh, Johnny is here. Good. I see you, Johnny. Thank you. And his prediction, well, it was true. White House staffers have begun leaking to regime outlet CNN that all of Biden's cabinet meetings are scripted. And also, he hasn't held a cabinet meeting in 9 months? What? Wait. Joe Biden has not held a cabinet meeting in 9 freaking months. Now, not only is he too tired to do more than one thing a day, he's also not want to have the cabinet officials talking to each other as a group. If they form a quorum too often, they could start talking about invoking the 25th Amendment. Oh my God! That I didn't even think of that. I did not even think of that. Yeah, if you don't want the cabinet people all in one place, they might start talking to each other. You might end up having Kamala as the president. So here it is. Now, we talked about George Clooney this morning, a star-studded fundraiser for President Joe Biden in Los Angeles that month. George Clooney wasn't the only one who came away concerned about the president. Even before Biden made remarks that night, whispers of concern rippled through the audience at the Peacock Theater about the president who had just arrived from a long flight from Italy. Some of the biggest donors at the $30 million fundraising event, who had waited in line to take pictures with Biden, expressed unease at how the president looked and carried himself. He was less cogent than usual, said one attendee. Oh, that's really bad, because he's usually not all that cogent. But before the, let's see, who was surprised that during a smaller meeting with donors before the main event, Biden barely spoke. Instead, this person said he left virtually all of the talking to former President Barack Obama, which struck some guests as unusual for a loquacious politician like Biden. Well, remember, this is the one where they had to lead him off stage, and then they said, well, they didn't really lead him off stage. That is a cheap fake. Okay, now you're speaking in German. God damn it. Thank you, Avocados Diabli, for dropping some German at me. Well, I'll just read it and maybe someone can translate. Biden ist völlig verrückt. Hat seinen Verstand verloren. Ist verrückt. Spielzeug im Angriff ist verrückt. Now I'm wondering, is verrückt fucked? Somebody translate that in the chat. My German pronunciation probably isn't terrible, but my comprehension is now zero. I took German in high school for 3 years, and I don't remember hardly any of it. Although it's funny though, when I was in Europe in 22, we took that river cruise. I did understand. I was able to do a little bit of German with people, like enough to, find the bathroom and shit. Anyway, Biden is entirely insane. Oh, insane. Verrückt is insane. He has lost his marbles. So verloren is marbles, I'm assuming. Or okay, seinen Verstand verloren. And he is crazy. Toys in the attic. He is crazy. There you go. Spielzeug. Oh, Spielzeug is toys. Okay, got it. Always like the word Spielzeug. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so anyway, so now they say Obama is definitely wrangling this. Biden's appearance in California struck attendees as starkly different from the fundraising gala he attended in March at Radio City Music Hall in New York. One Democrat guest told CNN, this is CNN, when Biden appeared on stage with Obama and former President Bill Clinton, there is a marked difference in the president from spring to the summer, a senior Democrat told CNN. He's just not the same. No, that's a lie. He's absolutely the same. You all are lying. Now, granted, on this fundraiser with George Clooney, he did just get back from Italy, right? He flew back from Italy. He'd been in, so I'm sure jet lag was a factor, but he's 80 years old. So, that's a factor too, but it is not that big a difference. Anyway, it says, back in Washington, there have been clear signs throughout his term of Biden being increasingly stage managed with lists of talking points, names of questioners, and drawings of where he should walk presented to him by aides ahead of closed-door cabinet meetings that Biden attends. Notice, now that's funny. That's a funny way to put it. Let me just stop that sentence right there. Ahead of closed-door cabinet meetings that Biden attends? Attends? Hello, scribe, dog thrapple. What do you mean he attends? He should be leading the cabinet meeting, right? It's his cabinet, but he attends the cabinet meeting. It is customary for cabinet officials to submit questions and key talking points that they plan to present in front of Biden ahead of time to White House aides, two sources with direct knowledge told CNN. So they're leaking to CNN. Let's see. Now, I don't know if that last part is so terrible. I want to be, this is, who wrote this? Ace wrote this himself. Now he says, I don't know if that last part is so terrible. I'd want to be prepared to actually make a decision ahead of the meeting too. In theory, I'm extremely disorganized. But the overall picture is grim. It suggests that Biden is just a vegetable programmed to the script by his aides. That sounds correct. Now it continues. The entire display is kind of an act, one of the sources told CNN. They would come and say, hey, the president is going to call on you about 25 minutes in and ask this question. What are the bullet points you'll respond with? Oh, so there you go. The second source, who echoed the same description, said when Biden attends cabinet meetings, they are not freewheeling and they're pretty well orchestrated. And the meetings themselves are infrequent, with one cabinet secretary telling CNN they are uncertain of Biden's condition because they so rarely see him. In fact, the last full cabinet meeting took place on October 2nd, 2023. That's insane. Big Joe's in the house. How you doing? So, wow. He hasn't had a cabinet meeting since October. I thought presidents had cabinet meetings much more regularly, like every 2 or 3 months. I don't know. So somebody here, there's some Twitter person that pointed out that Woodrow Wilson also kept his cabinet from meeting together in person after his stroke left him incapacitated, and his White House was run entirely by his wife and an Army general. So it's, hey, that's a tradition in the White House for people who are somewhat vegetable state. Let's see. What made the effect of the stroke so bad was not only the stroke itself, that the underlying condition, but a few days after that, for what little we know, Wilson was not that incapacitated. He had his paralysis, but he was fully conscious. He was being informed of what was going on. In fact, the cabinet was meeting without him, and he didn't like it and made his dislike known to them and shut that down. So yeah, they don't want the cabinet to meet without the president because they might start talking. Now, sources also said the cabinet meetings during the Obama years, which Biden attended as vice president, were not pre-scripted in this way. So this is not normal. In many of these conversations, sources blame the president's inner circle of advisors and family for what they said has become a painstakingly choreographed daily operation designed to prevent him from being in unscripted settings for extended periods of time. Yeah, just like when he was vice president, because, like Obama said, Joe Biden just finds miraculous ways to fuck things up. So let's see here. There is a general sense of just unbelievable holding your breath every time he does an event, every time he's with people. One top Democrat in close touch with Biden's inner circle of advisors told CNN. This person added that some of those advisors have privately acknowledged this is going to get worse. So, I'll drop a link. Oh, this goes on forever. Holy moly. Oh no, it stops there. Now, it's interesting. Oh, John Ekdahl is enjoying watching a lifelong liberal hat Nick Silver get red-pilled by your ally. Okay, I'm going to keep going on this because there's a couple more interesting little things here. So Ace here says all Democrats, including the Democrats of the Marxist media, continue pretending this all just happened in the past year and all claim to be blindsided by this news. That's a lie. We know that's a lie. We've seen it. We've been watching it. We've been watching it in real time. And so that is bullshit. Is this press conference started yet? It has not started. Or am I just, am I way behind? Let's see here. Let me just check. I want to check to see. What the hell is that? Oh, no, that's not good. My whole screen went black again. God damn it. And sometimes, once the screen goes black. All right, you may not be seeing anything right now, or I'm not. That's what it looks like. So let's just put my face back up here until this thing works again. Sometimes it takes a minute. Hopefully, I'm not missing the press conference because I want to see the whole thing. Well, look, even if I miss part of it, we're going to roll it back to the beginning and watch it live. So that's how it's, or at least live reaction to it. Come on, computer, let's respond. Holy shit, this is frustrating. One of these days, Alice. One of these days, I will actually have a computer that works. Okay, are you guys all here? We all good? Is everything working? I don't see a press conference yet. Let's move this up to current time. No, we have it. Wait. Okay, here we go. Looks like we're getting something here. Maybe. Thank you, Avocado Stalby. Die Pressekonferenz wird verschoben. Wait, did we miss it? No, it's not. It's still here. I think this is I get really concerned. Let's put this playback speed on 2 times to make sure I'm not missing anything here. I want it to be at the live spot. There we go. They pushed it back. Oh no! Wait, 7 o'clock. Well, no, 7 o'clock Eastern time. Okay, they pushed it back for it was delayed. Thank you. Okay, well that's okay. That's fine. We're gonna stay until they start it. So they pressed it back to another 13 minutes. Good. Let's finish this article I was doing. Hopefully my computer will continue to function. Okay, that's live. So if as soon as it comes on, we'll switch over. All right, back to this though. So the last thing I said was that all the Democrats, including the media, are going to pretend that this all just came up in this last, in the last year. This is so sudden. We never had any idea that this was going to happen, right? They pushed it closer to his daughters. Yes, they did. But check this out. When Biden spoke at the Congressional Hispanic Caucus at their annual gala last September, attendees took notice of his slurring of words and at times appearing confused. Some started to wonder, is this more than just a stutter? Oh, is it more than just a stutter? Remember, that was one of their favorite excuses. Furry kitten, what's happening? Nice to see you, brother. And shrapnel's in the house too. I see you. The thought among the attendees who spoke to CNN was brushed aside until the presidential debate. He declined, one House Democratic lawmaker who attended the gala told CNN. LOL, really? You don't say. Avocados Diabli dropping another small bullet in the tip jar. And by the way, you are the new Streamline Superstar sponsor of the day. Avocados Diabli says, Sie mussten Biden mehr Amphetaminen geben. They're giving him more amphetamines. Okay, that's good. I recognize that one. I know what geben is, and they must give Biden more amphetamines. Gotcha. Very good. And your German is fantastic. Mine isn't. Anyway, let's see. I remember now. Ace continues here. LOL. Really? You don't say? As in, we've all been watching this for 3 years. I remember when I and other conservatives noticed that, quote, prematurely, end quote, before the Democratic Marxist Party decided it was approved news, and when we were smeared as peddlers of disinformation and cheap fakes. Yes, we were. We all were. And we laughed our asses off when that new term, cheap fakes, because all the media picked up on it. Yes, Biden's schedule is kept light to allow him to recover from working 2 to 3 hours per day. So here it continues. Bursts of activities are often followed by planned downtime, which is fiercely protected on the president's schedule. In other words, he needs a nap. He needs his nap time. The practice of planned downtime extends to overseas trips as well. French officials involved in the planning of the June state visit said that the Biden team had requested 2 days of rest during the 5-day trip. Those so-called down days allowed First Lady Jill Biden to travel back to Wilmington, Delaware to hold forth in the courtroom during Hunter Biden's trial and gun charges. But they also afforded the president large swaths of time to rest and prepare for the varied engagements on D-Day and in the Paris with President Emmanuel Macron. And remember, now they're talking about all this planned downtime, right? And this morning we talked about this. During the campaign in 2020, they kept doing the lid bullshit where they would he'd start his day at 9 and they'd have a lid at 1 o'clock and he wasn't going to do anything for the rest of the day because they didn't need to. They already knew how they were going to get the election won. It had nothing to do with him. All they had to do was have the entire media flood the zone with negative Trump news and the beauty of a Biden presidency that was going to be, and he didn't even have to campaign. The entire media campaigned for him. So it's just great. My German is not as good as it used to be, but I am half cheating. Well, that's okay. I'm guessing on some of this, but I know what that meant. They needed to give him more amphetamines. Okay, amphetamines. So anyway, the fanfare the first lady made the trip, but Biden just sat in his hotel room and recovered. So when he arrived in Italy days later, one European diplomat mentioned that his exhaustion was apparent as it had become in many recent encounters. At the G7, it was obvious that he was old. At one point, he wanted to sit and there was no chair, the diplomat said. He was moving slowly, stupid things, but they showed that he's an old person who needs assistance, and we all noticed it. Cryptic's here. How you doing, Cryptic? What's up? So the Democrat Marxist Party and the media auxiliaries are putting all their hopes on President Dr. Jill Biden, as well as Biden's sister Valerie, who, as Tucker Carlson reported, objected emotionally to Biden running in 2020, knowing he had advancing dementia. So that's his sister. Jill Biden's campaign schedule has ramped up aggressively in recent weeks, coinciding with the end of the spring semester at the community college where she teaches English. A reluctant politician, Jill Biden has emerged as one of her husband's top surrogates and fundraisers. One Biden advisor, however, said that the First Lady and the president's sister, Valerie Biden Owens, are the only figures in the president's orbit who could ultimately persuade him to exit the race, and only if they had hard data. Jill and Valerie won't let him go down in flames, one Biden advisor said. So, holy shit. Let's see, John Ekdahl is enjoying watching lifelong liberal hack Nate Silver get red-pilled by reality. So this is a Nate Silver tweet, I guess. This isn't normal or acceptable for an American president. Sounds like a story from an authoritarian country. Oh, wow. So, and then the smug liberal Nate Silver now says that while he's sure he's still on the good guys team and that the good guys are better than the bad guys, all of us, of course, after this proof of Democratic media lying, the gap between the good guys and the bad guys isn't as large as he'd like it to be. Oh, shit. I'll pop that out as a separate article. I'll drop it in the links at the end of this broadcast. Shrapnel dropping a deuce in the YouTube super chats. I'm going premature of the notification. Who says, it's my wife's birthday. Oh, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Adrian. Happy birthday to you. And if you're watching, many more. And even if you're not watching, and many more. So happy birthday, Adrian, in the chat. Okay. Now, I'm going to stick with Ace because he's got a couple different things going on here regarding all this information. Again, we're paying attention to the White House, what do you call this, website. I'm using the White House feed for this press conference because you're much less likely to get the shamalama ding dong. Why is this screen so weird though? Oh, I see. If I do this, then it'll look like that, but we're not doing that right now. We're going back. Let's go back to Ace because I wanted to read this one that Cape did earlier that I had already, a couple of these that I've already done. There we go. And it is Adrian's birthday. Adrian! Happy birthday. All right. Now this is what was interesting too. I'm going to skip, let's see. I'm going to skip this and go to, where's the one that really caught me today regarding, oh my gosh, there's more. Okay. Apparently there's new stuff up here. Democratic elites and sneaky snakes scheme to oust middle-class Joe from office. Uh-oh. That's not the one I want to do. I want to talk about the donors. What happened to the donor article? Unnamed. Oh, by the way, there's unnamed intelligence sources claiming that the Russians are interfering in this election again. They can't let go of that Russia thing. Where's the donor article? Ah, here it is. This is the one. And I thought so apparently donors are hanging up on Joe Biden's fundraisers right now. That's not good. Now this headline is actually the Babylon Bee where they said Janet Yellen reassures the nation that Biden's dementia is transitory. And also, thank you, Renee. I forgot that this one too. Happy 25th Amendment to you. That's funny. So anyway, NBC News quote unquote, Biden's fundraising is drying up. Quote, it's already disastrous. Biden campaign fundraising takes a major hit. Sources close to re-election efforts say fundraising is set to drop possibly by half this month. A campaign spokesman pushed back saying grassroots dollars were strong. Like, that's okay. That's Frank Drebin running through the streets saying, everything is okay. Everything is okay. Everything is okay. You know who Frank Drebin is, right? Anyway, so they continue to push the claim that the elites want the middle-class Joe out of the race, but the people, the grassroots, are with them. This is from, what is this from? What's the article from? From NBC News. President Joe Biden's campaign has already suffered a major slowdown. Wait, slowdown? Is that what it is? A major slowdown in donations, and officials are bracing for a seismic fundraising hit, with fallout from the debate nearly 2 weeks ago taking a sizable toll on operations, according to four sources. Now the other one was 2 sources. This is 4 sources. How about that? What up, Shadow Cat? Yeah, the Russians are interfering again when it was proven after 8 years that Hillary made the whole thing up. Exactly. And welcome to the show, Shadow Cat. That's a new name. I'd like to see it. Hit the subscribe button. So anyway, let's see. It's already disastrous. One of the sources close to Biden's reelection said of fundraising, the money has absolutely shut off. Another source close to the reelection said, two of the sources said this month is on a path to be down by possibly half or much more. One of them said from large donors alone. Sources emphasized that the donations were down across the board. Donors are negative. They had a call with the president. They call seemed so contrived to people, I don't think they buy it, one of the people close to the campaign said, referring to a recent national fundraising call between Biden and donors. They called on people who were the most loyal, die hard. There were no tough questions for the president. Well, of course, they don't like asking him tough questions. I want to see this press conference. Get this shit going. Anyway, initially after the debate, the campaign reported an uptick in donors, but that quickly fell off, the sources said. A Biden campaign spokesman pushed back against the notion that fundraising was down. That's not accurate, spokesman Lauren Hitt said. On grassroots fundraising, the first 7 days of July were the best start to the month on the campaign, and many of those were first-time donors. On the high dollar side, we've had folks max out since the debate as well. Yeah, I'm sure you have, but you know what? No one's paying attention to the fucking campaign up till now because it's a debate. Usually the fundraising doesn't start hitting till during or after the convention. So you're just full of shit, I'm saying. Anyway, excuse me. Initially after the debate, okay, here it is. Hitt didn't share how many donors have hit the maximum allowed under federal law since the debate. One of the people close to the re-election effort said this week that the campaign believed major donors who have threatened to jump ship after the debate would come around, if only to avoid helping former President Donald Trump by sitting out the race. Biden aides had said privately that if major donors don't come along, we'll do it without them. We'll do it live! Yeah, good luck with that. Thank you, Big Dro. What's up, man? Nice to have you here. Welcome to the show again. Who says, I am the king of trolls. All hail, question mark. What question mark? What's with the question mark? I don't know what that means, but nice to have you back, brother. Nice to have you back. Reaction on Puerto Rico, also with the dudes from YouTube. If Biden decides to stay, they will Nixon him. Well, I don't know about Nixon him. That's not always the same thing. Oh, that's not me? That's not you, Big Dro? Who the hell is that then? I'm the king of trolls. Big Dro's not a troll. That's my imposter. Oh, got it. Gotcha. Okay. All right. Thanks again, Reaction Puerto Rico. So, identity theft is a serious offense. Ask Rabbit. Oh, true. Hello, Gun Fox. How you doing? Welcome to the this afternoon edition of Let's Watch Biden Flounder at a Press Conference. By the way, if you haven't subscribed to Ace of Spades, it's always been one of my favorite one of my favorite blogs since back in my blogging days in the early 2000s, late 1999. I don't know, somewhere around there when I started doing that, and I stopped doing it because I wasn't very good at it, and it was just more fun to read everybody else. But here it is. Here's the Russian thing too. It's 2016 all over again. Unnamed intelligence officials claim again that Russia is trying to interfere in the election to help Trump. Oh, no! Not again.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
What a crazy coincidence. Russia aims to undermine Biden in November election. Intel officials say, well, there was a whole bunch of Intel officials and former Intel officials that said the Biden laptop was fake, Hunter Biden's laptop, but it was a Russian disinformation campaign. Oh wait, the FBI knew the entire time that was actually the right, exactly correct article on the New York Post. Anyway, so I would like to return to the PSYOP. It's plainly been used. Obviously someone bought it, returned it as defective, and now you just put it in a new box and put it on sale as new. Fox News, Russia interfering in the 2024 election to help Trump, U.S. intelligence officials say. The officials say Russia intends to use social media to manipulate U.S. public opinion in favor of Trump. Oh my gosh, and will they have Facebook ads too? I'm just wondering. Officials with the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, an oxymoron if I ever saw one, have warned that Russia has launched a plan to interfere in the 2024 election to bolster the chances of President Trump being reelected. In a briefing with reporters on Tuesday, ODNI officials said that Russia is the preeminent threat to the election, and that while China doesn't plan to influence the outcome of the presidential race, the communist nation is being carefully monitored to see if it mingles in down ballot races. Now, it's interesting because, because who would the Chinese be interfering on behalf of? Probably Joe Biden. So they're not going to pay attention too much to them. But so I guess all these cheap fakes, I guess those are all Russian people. They're Russian officials doing that shit. Thank you, Avocados Diabli. Das ist ein netter Arsch. Netter, I don't know what netter is. Arsch? Arsch is not ass, is it? Das ist ein netter Arsch. What is Arsch? Did you translate this yet? Okay, I'm done with the German now, I promise. Well, no, I don't mind as long as you translate in the regular chat so I can look over here. So anyway, what's going on? This thing's didn't even come looking like it's starting yet. It's not yet. And whoever wrote this says, I wonder if Russia is creating cheap fakes showing Biden to be old and incoherent. Well, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. That is a nice, where are you seeing a nice ass? What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about here. Anyway, it's funny. Russia doesn't favor the political family it paid millions of dollars to. No, it favors Trump. Yeah, the Russians gave Hunter Biden $3 million. It's all the tactics we've seen before, primarily through social media efforts using influential U.S. voices to amplify their narratives and other tactics, that officials said. And as far as who they're targeting, what we can say is today is Russia is sophisticated enough to know that targeting swing state voters is particularly valuable to them. Yes, I'm sure it's gotta be just, okay, everyone's giving me different names for booty holes. I got it. Officials said that the intelligence community expects Russia will increase its underhanded activities as U.S. election day gets close. This reads like a fucking parody. It doesn't sound real. Now, And then it goes, although former President Trump was not named specifically, ODNI officials said that the Russian interference is mimicking what it says were similar preferences for U.S. presidential candidates seen in previous election cycles. Russia is undertaking a whole government approach to influence the election, including the presidential race, Congress, and public opinion, the officials said, noting that Russia has grown more sophisticated over the years in election interference. Oh, you mean we're not going to have the, what was it, the Jesus shaking hands with whatever they had it? I mean, oh my God. So they're going to have better memes then. Is that what they're saying? They're going to do better memes. Are these people serious? All right. Now, also, Democrat elites and sneaky stakes scheme to oust middle-class Joe from office. The elites are really turning on Biden. Chuck Schumer is now talking about dumping Biden. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is privately open to replacing Biden on top of the Democratic ticket. According to Axios, that's in contrast to what he said publicly, that he stands with the president despite his disastrous debate. As I said before, I'm for Joe, declared Schumer, waiting reporters as he returned from recess this week. Well, here, let's just watch some of the clips, because also they're saying that Gretchen Whitmer is being a snake, or she says more absolute twunt, whatever that means. Gretchen Whitmer has been playing the snarkiest game of attempting to replace Biden with her twuntish self while claiming she's totally with middle-class Joe. Here she sticks the knife in deep. Let's listen to this. Let's see if this sounds supportive or if she's being a snake. Let's listen to Gretchen Whitmer here.
Should he, as some people have suggested, just go ahead and take a cognitive test and demand that Donald Trump do the same?
I don't think that'd hurt, to be honest. But at the end of the day,
so you think that he should take a cognitive test?
I don't think it would hurt.
I don't think it would hurt if he took a cognitive test. Really? Yeah, I don't know if she wants that. Well, no, she wants that. I don't know if Biden wants that. Holy shit. Here we have, let's see. Oh, and here it is. Oh, by the way, Gretchen Whitmer chose to rush release of a book and go on a media tour right at the time she knew Joe Biden's cognitive abilities would be exposed. Governor Whitmer shuts down 2024 presidential talk, but doesn't hide her ambitions in a timely book launch. Let's see.
Whitmer told the Associated Press that she would not consider becoming a candidate this year, even if Biden were to step down, and that, quote, it's a distraction more than anything. I don't like seeing my name in articles, she claims, because I'm totally focused on governing and campaigning on the ticket. But, of course, Whitmer has a book. It's a new book coming out today. It's titled True Gretch. Reportedly, it does little to hide her political ambitions, Tudor. What do you make of Gretchen Whitmer potentially being on this ticket?
Oh, she said the same
Scary.
thing in 2020 about being the vice president. She said it was a distraction, even though her staff was already in Washington, D.C. looking at houses. They thought they for sure were on the ticket. She was very disappointed to find out it was going to be Kamala Harris. She is incredibly ambitious. This book was written overnight. We see things that were coming out just in February that are in this book today. This is shocking to think that she was writing a book right at the time that she knew it would be exposed that Joe Biden was suffering from cognitive decline. She's a co-chair of the campaign. In fact, I think that's the thing that has Democrat voters so upset right now, because they're looking at this and they're going, wait a minute, you all knew.
So I see that Book Romantic says she just signed a bill in Michigan that said no recounts would be allowed in Michigan, even if there was fraud. Well, she just insulated herself against the possible fraud. Thank you, Avocados Diabli, who says, pretty sad commentary on the American electorate and the people trying to affect them, that they think just make better memes is a valid election strategy. That's pretty much it. That's spot on. Thank you for sponsoring the show. Also, Big Dro with a small bullet saying, I am a Russian spy. Kamala is my Jamaican curry. Ooh. Easy there. Oh, I have to get a little one of these. I'm a Russian spy. Kamala is my Jamaican curry. Oh, yeah. Because she's, well, I'm sorry, you're not supposed to talk about her affair with Willie Brown helping her in her political career or being racist. So I did read that article, Gunfox, but I'm gonna save it for tomorrow for the show when we're doing regular stuff. Oh, that's your imposter again. Well, your imposter is very, very accurate. That's really great. The slimest Democratic propagandist Dan Goldman refuses to comment on calls for Biden to withdraw and says he's only thinking about beating Trump. Nancy Pelosi also changed her stance to supporting Biden and declaring that he's the candidate to saying she hopes he decides whether he'll remain in the race and make the right decision. I don't know, you probably saw that one already. Here's some Nancy Pelosi, not very happy with an ABC reporter asking her about this.
Do you believe that him waiting so long to make this decision is part of the funding?
Comments in the hallway about the fate of our nation. Okay?
Are you concerned whether or not he can win in November?
I think he can win.
I think he can.
He should run for re-election?
I'm not speaking English to you.
Oh,
I'm not going to be making any
shit.
statements about any of that.
How are you gonna talk that way to a black woman? Huh? Nancy, how are you gonna talk that way to a black woman? She's like, I am not gonna talk about this right now. Also, Senator Tim Kaine. Now, Senator Tim Kaine he's doing the Frank Drebin. Everything's fine. Except this sounds like a mafia thing. I watched this one earlier. This is interesting. Listen to how he phrases this. Oh, shoot. Oh, it's on X. Okay, hang on a second. It'll pop up. Listen to how Tim Kaine phrases what he's about to say here. As soon as this pops up on my screen, someday, here we go. So this is Tim. Remember Tim Kaine? He was, wasn't he Hillary Clinton's running mate? Oh, so there we go.
I have complete confidence that Joe Biden will do the patriotic thing for the country, and he's going to make that decision. He's never disappointed me. He's always put patriotism and the country ahead of himself, and I'm going to respect the decision that he makes.
Whoa, wait. Let's hear that again. We're going to hear that again because I have complete confidence. What? This is Tim Kaine saying, it sounds like he's going to do what's right or else.
I have complete confidence that Joe Biden will do the patriotic thing for the country.
What's the patriotic thing for the country, Tim? Wouldn't the patriotic thing for the country be to beat Donald Trump and be the president of the United States for 4 more years? That doesn't sound like you're too happy with him. Like he's going to do the patriotic thing and step down. Doesn't it sound like that?
He's going to make that decision. He's never disappointed me.
He already made the funny thing about this is he's already made the decision. He's already told people he's going to stay. And they're coming back and saying, well, we know he's going to make the right decision. He made the decision 2 weeks ago. He told you he was going to keep running. And now y'all are still saying, well, he'll make the decision later. No, he's already made the decision. Why do you keep saying that? Because you don't want him to, you don't like the decision. And Gunfox dropping a Hamilton in the tip jar. You just took over. You are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. With another article. Do you want me to do this now or do this afterwards? Because we're here for the press conference. If it ever comes up, it's still waiting. And Gunfox says, yeah, he did. Damn it, pudding brains. Okay, let's see what this is. Oh, when he called Zelensky Putin. We can look at this again. It was funny. People already got the articles out now. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. We already did this. Biden calls Zelensky President Putin. President Biden on Thursday accidentally used Russian President Vladimir Putin's name when introducing Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky at the NATO Summit, a flub that comes at a vulnerable moment in his campaign. The mistake is likely to turn up the volume on calls for him to drop out of the race after his disastrous debate performance raised questions about his mental acuity. Now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. There were audible gasps from people in the room, which included diplomats and world leaders across the globe. A few called out, "Zelensky, asshole!" Well, they didn't say asshole. Maybe they did. I don't know. To correct Biden, Biden then moved back to the microphone and corrected himself, saying, "We're going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky, I was focused on beating Putin." The area came at the end of a forceful speech by Biden in front of the world leaders in Washington that was intended to describe the power of expanding the NATO alliance under his leadership, tout major new military support to Ukraine from the U.S. and NATO allies, and introduce Zelensky, who spoke next. The timing could not have been worse. The gaffe came less than an hour before Biden was scheduled to hold a press conference with reporters at the NATO summit that is likely to be dominated by questions about whether he will drop his reelection bid. Democrats concerned about Biden's ability to beat Donald Trump in November have been watching Biden's performance closely since last month's debate. So, there you go. Okay, well, we're just going to keep killing time here until we get a press conference. I should be feeding my dog right now. He's probably going up there going, "What the hell is going on down there? Why aren't you feeding me right now?" I'll put the links to the Ukraine event in here too. He did give a short speech. He slurred through his way through it, and then of course he called Zelensky President Putin. That was precious. That was precious. All right. Thank you, Avocados Diabli. With another small bullet in the tip jar saying, "Are we just going to gloss over the number of Democrats suddenly talking about patriotism and the patriotic thing as if patriotism, the thing they told us is practically murder, is a good thing?" Yeah, we are going to gloss over that. For them, patriotic means the same thing as democracy. Our people in power. If our people are in power, that is the most patriotic thing we can do. And we know Joe Biden is floundering and, not hanging in there. And so the patriotic thing to do would be to have someone else go in there who might be able to beat the guy with the funny hair. So that's what they mean by patriotism. Also, thank you, Gunny, another Hamilton in the tip jar, who says, "Oh, this is rich." Well, we have time until the press conference starts, so let's see what this is. Uh-oh, there it is. Okay, good. Well, this is more news from the New York Times. The embattled Biden campaign tests Kamala Harris' strength versus Trump. So now I heard this earlier today, that this may be why Biden isn't yet committed to dropping out, and because right now there's a battle among Democrats, the faction that says you go with Kamala Harris because she's next and she's a black woman, sort of Indian something, and is it racist for me as a black man to I'm not disparaging her. I'm just saying she's not what I would think of as a black person, because her parents are immigrants and she's from India and whatever, and she grew up Indian and she's the first Indian this and the first Indian that, and then all of a sudden they decide they need a black woman, so they call her a black woman too. And because she went to Howard University, people think, well, she went to a black college and university, so that gives her some black bona fides. But her code switching is so terrible. She's almost sounds as bad as Hillary Clinton trying to talk black when she talks black. Although I shouldn't say that. Hers is a little better. Hers is better than mine. I don't code switch very well. But anyway, is that a problem? I don't know. Anyway, here's the article from the New York Times. Under siege from fellow Democrats, President Joe Biden's campaign is quietly testing the strength of Vice President Kamala Harris against former President Donald Trump in a head-to-head survey of voters, as Biden fights for his political future with this high-stakes news conference Thursday, which is already 40 minutes late. 40 minutes late. The survey, which is being conducted this week and was commissioned by the Biden campaign's analytic team, is believed to be the first time since the debate that Biden aides have sought to measure how the vice president would fare at the top of the ticket. It was described by 3 people who are informed about it. Boy, they love using these. Well, 3 people who are familiar with the situation, 4 people who understand the situation, 2 people on the condition of anonymity. Anyway, 3 people who are informed about it and insist on anonymity because of the sensitive nature of the information. So they're Okay, here's the other part of this. They want to try to do this in confidence, but they're leaking everything they do. I will do that reaction on Puerto Rico. Thank you. That'll be the next thing I'll go to. Appreciate it. But they're leaking it all. There's people leaking like sieves now in this camp, which they haven't been doing his entire presidency. They haven't been leaking the fact that he's Sundowner Joe. But now all of a sudden they want him out, so the leaks are just like it's. You might as well do the Minnesota River, which is flooding right now. It's leaking so bad. It was described by 3 people, insisted on anonymity because of the sensitive nature of the information. They did not specify why the survey was being conducted or what the campaign planned to do with the results. The effort, which comes as a growing number of prominent lawmakers call for Biden to step aside or suggest he should reconsider his plans to run, indicates that his campaign may be preparing to wade into a debate that has consumed the Democratic Party behind closed doors, whether Biden should step aside for his vice president. While some of Biden's top aides have quietly argued that Harris could not win the election, donors and other outside supporters of the vice president believe she might be in a stronger position after the debate and could be a more energetic communicator of the party's message. In a memo to campaign staff Thursday, Biden's campaign chair, Jennifer O'Malley Dillon, and his campaign manager, Julie Chavez Rodriguez, wrote about the path ahead. Quote, "In addition to what we believe is a clear pathway ahead for us, there is also no indication that anyone else could outperform the president versus Trump," they wrote. "Hypothetical polling of alternative nominees will always be unreliable, and surveys do not take into account the negative media environment that any Democratic nominee will encounter." Bullshit. They will not encounter negative media environment. If Biden steps aside, the media will do everything they can to prop up the new candidate. That is such a freaking lie, because most of the big name media is anti-Trump. So stop. That's a lie. The only Democratic candidate for whom this is already baked in is President Biden. Now here's the thing. While the media will do their damnedest to prop up any Democrat after Biden, if Biden steps down, wink, wink, that doesn't mean the voters are going to buy it, but the media is going to do their damnedest. I guarantee it. The memo also appeared to acknowledge the erosion of Biden's support. The moment we have seen, while real, is not a sea change in the state of the race, the memo says. As the White House and the Biden campaign try to project a unified front, some of their supporters are engaged in a tough assessment of who should be at the top of the ticket. Yeah, there is a huge fight. Thank you, Gunfox, for that article. We may go for the rest of tomorrow. There's a huge fight right now in the Biden camp on whether or not they should dump Harris, because she's not popular at all, and put in someone else. Gavin Newsom. I guess Gretchen Whitler is the name that's come up. There's other people who want to, and everyone knows that Gavin Newsom is that guy just out there waiting in the wings, wanting this thing. But their negatives are very, very high. And so, what is this? What is this? Oh, I don't need that. Let's close that. I'm going to close all these extra windows here, so when I do articles, it'll be fine. Let's go. I'm going to go to X. Reaction Puerto Rico sent me something here. If it'll refresh, please refresh. Please refresh. Let's just do this. Yeah, the knives are out. That's damn sure, Shrapnel. That is for damn sure. All right. We can just scroll through X too. I cannot believe, though, that Biden called Zelensky Putin. All right. Oh, and here's this. I think I've seen this. James Carville is very unhappy with Joe Biden and the whole Democrat Party. Carville on here. I'll put it on the screen. Sorry. Carville on Biden dropping out. It's inevitable. He will come to the conclusion. People will get the message to him. He will understand. His family will understand. Okay, here's. I'm gonna let Carville do it himself because nobody makes a point like the old alligator face motherfucker himself. Here we go. Got volume on. There we go.
How do you get him out if he's saying I won't drop?
You know, he's going to come to the conclusion that this is just not a good idea. And
really, James, how's that going to happen? Are y'all going to threaten him? Are y'all going to 25th Amendment him? I don't know.
He's going to resist it, and he's going to listen to his family. He's already it's all the same. We blame the staff, then we blame the media, then it's the elites in a Democratic Party.
The leaks are happening.
Do I look elite? What the hell's elite about going up in rural South Louisiana?
The President of the United States.
Okay, here we go.
Joe Biden.
Here we go. Here we go. Sorry, James.
Thank you. Please be seated.
Sounds tired, doesn't he?
Good evening.
He came out there sounding
We just
tired.
concluded this year's NATO Summit. The consensus among the members was it was a great success. It's especially momentous because it represented the 75th year of the most important military defense alliance in the world's history of the world. We should never forget that NATO grew out of the wreckage of World War II, the most destructive war in history. The idea was to create an alliance of free and democratic nations that would commit themselves to a compact of collective defense.
He took his Adderall.
Standing together,
they got him a bump.
They knew we'd all be safer.
Hunter's been back there.
Attack on one would be
they
treated
changed
as an
the
attack on all.
They changed the
And it's worked.
interpreter.
Because a would-be aggressor knows if they attack one of us, they'll be attacked by all of us. Sending that message is the best way to deter aggression and prevent wars in the first place. For those who thought NATO's time had passed, they got a rude awakening.
Nobody has said
when
NATO's
Putin
time has
invaded Ukraine.
passed.
Some of the oldest and deepest fears in Europe roared back to life because once again, a murderous madman was on the march. But this time, no one cowered in appeasement.
Okay. Again, calling Putin a murderous madman is not very diplomatic.
Especially the United States. We collected intelligence that Russia was planning to invade Ukraine months before the invasion.
But how did you stop it? Why didn't you stop it?
I directed the intelligence community to be a significant amount of intelligence to be declassified so I could start building an international coalition to oppose the invasion.
Great international
Then
pressure.
in February, some of you remember, I warned the world that the invasion was imminent. I rallied a coalition of 50 nations from Europe to Asia.
Then NATO was ineffective then. Then NATO was ineffective.
Many foreign policy experts
What are you
thought,
talking?
as Putin amassed Russian forces just 100 miles north of Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine, but Putin thought it was the mother home of Russia. The capital would fall in less than a week. But the Ukrainian people, backed by a coalition to help build, stopped them. Today, Kyiv still stands. And NATO stands stronger than it has ever been. During the week of this summit, several heads of states made it a point in their statements to thank the United States and to thank me personally for all that NATO has achieved. I
got to pause this for just a second, and I'll be right back. I apologize, but we're going to watch the whole thing. I'll be right back. All right, sorry about that. Let's keep going here.
Not only stronger, NATO is bigger because we led the charge to bring in Finland and Sweden into the alliance. And it makes a gigantic difference. Excuse me. Meanwhile, my predecessor has made it clear he has no commitment to NATO. He's made it clear that he would feel no obligation to honor Article 5. He's already told Putin, and I quote,
Whoa, 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 whoa. What? Where did that come from? Why is he talking about Trump in this?
Sending that message is the best way to deter aggression and prevent wars in the first place.
Hang.
For those who thought NATO's time had passed, they got a rude awakening.
I just called it
Putin
back.
Invaded Ukraine. Some of the oldest and deepest fears in Europe roared back to life because once again, a murderous madman was on the march.
I just take it back because I wanted to hear this again.
This time, no one cowered in appeasement, especially the United States. We collected intelligence that Russia was planning to invade Ukraine. Months.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead.
A significant amount of intelligence being declassified.
We already heard
so I could start building an international coalition to oppose the invasion. Then in February, some of you remember, I warned the world that the invasion was imminent. I rallied a coalition of 50 nations from Europe to Asia to help Ukraine defend itself. Many foreign policy experts thought, as Putin amassed Russian forces just 100 miles north of Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine, but Putin thought it was the mother home of Russia. The capital would fall in less than a week.
He's got to stay on the teleprompter.
Backed by a coalition to help build, stopped them. Today, Kyiv still stands, and NATO stands stronger than it has ever been. During the week of this summit, several heads of states made it a point in their statements to thank the United States and to thank me personally for all that NATO has achieved.
Why would you thank him
not only
personally?
Stronger, NATO is bigger because we led the charge to bring in Finland and Sweden into the alliance. And it makes a gigantic difference. Excuse me. Meanwhile, my predecessor has made it clear he has no commitment to NATO. He's made it clear that he would feel no obligation to honor Article 5.
That's a lie.
He's already told Putin, and I quote,
that's a lie.
Do whatever the hell you want. In fact, the day after Putin invaded Ukraine, here's what he said. It was genius. It was wonderful. Some of you forgot that, but that's exactly what he said.
He didn't say it was wonderful.
But I made it clear.
Oh my God, he makes shit up.
A strong NATO is essential to American security. And I believe the obligation of Article 5 is sacred. And I would remind all Americans, Article 5 is invoked only once in NATO's long history, and that was to defend America after 9/11. I made it clear that I will not bow down to Putin.
Why does he keep saying
I will not walk
Putin?
away from Ukraine. I will keep NATO strong. That's exactly what we did, and exactly what we'll continue to do. Now, the future of American policy is up to the American people. This is much more than a political question.
So this is a NATO summit, but he's giving a political
it's a
speech.
national security issue. Don't reduce this to the usual testament that people talk about, issues of being a political campaign. It's far too important. It's about the world we live in for decades to come.
And will you be there, Joe?
Every American
How long will you be there?
must ask herself or himself, is the world safer with NATO? Are you safer? Is your family safer?
I don't know, man.
I believe the American people know.
Not if you're doing a proxy war.
The answer to all those questions is yes. And I believe the American people understand.
Are we safer with you, though?
Stronger because of our alliance.
Are we safer with you, Joe?
I believe the American consensus from Truman to Reagan to me still holds today. America cannot retreat from the world. We must lead the world. We're an indispensable nation, as Madeleine Albright wrote. Now let me turn to three other key issues. Just this morning, we had a great economic report.
No, you didn't.
Inflation is down.
No, you didn't. Oh, you liar.
Prices fell last month.
You liar.
Core inflation is the lowest it's been in 3 years. Prices are falling for cars, appliances, and airfares.
Oh my God.
Grocery prices have fallen since the start of the year.
Oh my God.
We're going to keep working to take down corporate greed to bring those prices down further. Meanwhile,
3.3%.
Trump's calling for a 10%
inflation.
tariff on everything Americans buy, including food from overseas, vegetables, and other necessities. And economists tell us that would cost the average American working family another $2,500 a year. It's a tax of $2,500.
Okay, he's just talking out of his ass, and this is now a campaign speech in the middle of a NATO summit. This was supposed to be a speech about NATO, about what the alliance is doing, why he's talking about core CPI, and he's talking about now if they ask him questions about it, great, but first of all, he's lying. Inflation's not down. It's the still 3.3% over last year, which means we're continuing the trend of having higher inflation than it was before he took office. Thank you, Avocados Diablo. Joe, Article 5 is an agreement to defend other NATO nations if they are invaded. It has no place in the Ukraine issue as of yet, at the very least. Yeah, no, they're not a NATO country. So why are we committing to Ukraine? Now, if the other European nations, as a member of the EU, want to take care of Ukraine, that's great. And I'm sure we can support our EU friends, but it's not Article 5 has nothing to do with Ukraine.
A year. Second, our efforts to secure the border, southern border, are working.
Secure the border.
After Trump.
What did he just say? I'm going to go back 10 seconds.
$100 a year. It's a tax of $2,500 a year.
Look at how angry he is.
Our efforts to secure the border, southern border, are working. After Trump killed the bipartisan effort to secure the border.
It wasn't an effort to secure the border. It was an agreement to allow 2,500 people a week, or was it 2,500 a month, maybe? 2,500 a day. 2,500 a day. Process 2,500 a day was that new border agreement. We didn't even have that many border crossings when Trump was in office.
Republicans and Democrats had worked on, because he thought
it was a bad bill.
It would benefit me and make him a loser. Republicans walked away. So I took executive action last month. As a consequence, working with Mexico, border encounters have gone down over 50%. The current level
is that true, Gunfox? Are you serious?
And when Trump left office. Third, for months,
breaking news: Russian missiles enter Polish airspace. Are you serious, Gunfox?
To bring the hostages home, to create a path for peace and stability in the Middle East. 6 weeks ago, I laid out a detailed plan in writing. It was endorsed by the UN Security Council.
Oh my God.
The G7.
I'm going to speed this up.
That framework is now agreed on.
So in the middle of his speech here,
and Hamas. So I sent my team to the region to hammer out the details. These are difficult, complex issues.
I do have this on a faster speed because I want to catch up.
Progress. The trend is positive, and I'm determined to get this deal done and bring an end to this war, which should end now.
As Russian missiles enter Polish airspace, U.S. and Russian military aircraft are scrambling right now.
Let me conclude where I began. We're the United States of America.
Oh.
We are the indispensable nation. Our leadership matters. Our partnerships matter. This moment matters.
Go back to normal speed.
We must rise to meet it.
We are the United States of America.
With that, I'll take your questions.
They're crossing Polish airspace to hit targets in Ukraine while Zelensky's in Washington.
Reuters, Jeff Mason.
Oh! Remember, this is supposed to be the big boy press conference. What did he just do? What did he just do?
With that, I'll take your questions. I've been given a list of people to call on here.
This is not real. What did I tell you? They said this is going to be a big boy press conference, like a normal one, and he's been given a list of people to call on. And instead of just doing it, he announced that he has a list.
Reuters, Jeff Mason.
Mr. President, your political future has hung over the NATO summit a little bit this week. Speaker Pelosi made a point of suggesting that your decision on whether to stay in the race was still open. George Clooney and a handful of lawmakers have called on you to step aside.
I'm glad he
Reuters
mentioned
is
George
reporting tonight that
Clooney.
UAW leadership is concerned about your ability to win.
UAW just endorsed me, but go ahead.
Thank you. My question for you is, how are you incorporating these developments into your decision to stay? And
I've already made the decision to stay.
What concerns do you have about Vice President Harris's ability to beat Donald Trump if she were at the top of the ticket?
Look, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president because I think she was not qualified to be president. So let's
Vice
start
President
there.
Trump.
Number one.
Oh my God!
Fact is that
they're going to 25th Amendment
the
him.
consideration is
They're
that I think
going
I'm the
to
most
25th
qualified
Amendment
person
him.
to run for president.
Holy shit!
I beat him once, and I will beat him again. Secondly, the idea. I served in the Senate a long time.
We should take a shot every time he says the idea.
The idea that senators and congressmen running for office worry about the ticket is not unusual. And I might add, there are at least 5 presidents running or incumbent presidents who had lower numbers than I have now.
No!
Later in the campaign.
That is
so there's a long way to go in this campaign. And so
he has the lowest approval rating of any president running for president.
Look, I got more work to do. We got more work to finish. There's so much. We made so much progress. Think about it. Think about where we are economically relative to the rest of the world. Name me a world leader who wouldn't want to trade places with our economy. We've created over 800,000 manufacturing jobs, 1.5 million jobs. I mean, so things are moving. We got more to go. Working class people still need help. Corporate greed is still at large. Their prices, the corporate profits have doubled since the pandemic. They're coming down. And so I'm optimistic about where things are going.
Go back to my list.
Camp, AFP.
Thanks. Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to ask you about your, you mixed up Presidents Zelensky and Putin earlier today. And you now have sort of your key allies, including the British Prime Minister, the President of France, and the German Chancellor having to step in and make excuses for you on that. And officials here are saying off the record that your decline has become noticeable. Hasn't this now, frankly, become damaging for America's standing in the world? Thank you.
Did you see any damage to our standing in my leading this conference? Have you seen a more successful conference?
Look how mad he is. He doesn't want to hear. He doesn't want to hear the.
And the Putin piece. I was talking about Putin, and I said, and now, at the very end, I said, here, I mean Putin. I said, no, I'm sorry, Zelensky. And then I added 5 other names. Look, guys, the idea anybody suggests
take a shot
that we haven't had an incredibly successful conference. How many times did you hear in that conference, I know it sounds too self-serving, but other leaders, heads of state, in thanking me, saying the reason we're together is because of Biden.
No, we're not.
Biden did the following.
No, none of them.
Look,
Zero.
folks,
None of them said that. Nobody said that. You made it up.
Well,
you made
anyway,
it up.
I thought it was the most successful conference I've attended in a long time, and find me a world leader who didn't think it was. Next one, Nancy Cordes, CBS.
Thank you, Mr. President.
This is not a big boy conference.
Other instances in history where presidents have faced a challenge, but what makes this moment in history so unique is that it is not your enemies who are calling on you to reconsider your decision to stay in the race. It's your friends, supporters, people who think you've done a great job over the past 4 years. Have you spent time thinking about what it would mean for your legacy, which you've worked decades to build, if you stay in the race, despite the concerns that voters say they have, and you lose to someone who you yourself have argued is unfit to return to the Oval Office?
Well, look, I'm not in this for my legacy.
That's a good.
I'm in
that's
this
a good
to
answer.
complete the job I started.
That is a good answer. I got to give him that.
Understandably,
And so
many economists thought my initial.
And so, because he was supposed to call on her, he knew the question in advance, and they wrote that line specifically to fit the question. Remember, CBS is the network that was the first one to parrot the cheap fakes bullshit. So this was a question they were ready for, and that was a great answer. Too good for Joe Biden off the top of his head.
Initiatives that I put forward, can't do that. It's going to cause inflation. Things are going to skyrocket. The debt's going to go up. What are you hearing now from mainstream economists?
Why are you whispering?
16 economic Nobel laureates said I've done a hell of a job.
Sure, Paul Krugman.
That under my plans so far and what's going to happen in the future if I'm reelected.
This was a setup question.
Get much better. Our economy is growing. I was determined when I got elected to stop the trickle-down economic theory. That if the wealthy did very well, everybody else would do well. My dad was a well-read, decent guy. I don't remember much trickling down on his kitchen table. Middle-class people and working-class people need help. And so what happened is I decided to was able to implement as president what I believed when I was a senator. And that is that the way to build this economy is from the middle out and the bottom up. That way we grow the economy. And the wealthy...
The bottom up, the middle out and the bottom up, those aren't the people creating the jobs, though. Except for the small business people who are in the middle.
Still do very well. They do fine. And guess what?
What?
Find me an mainstream economist who said we haven't done well. What have we not done that isn't working right now?
The Inflation Reduction Act.
We got more to do, though. We got to finish the job. And by the way, I come from the corporate state of the world. Delaware has more corporations registered in Delaware than every other state in the nation combined.
Because they have no corporate taxes. Because they have no corporate taxes. That's why.
Doubled since the pandemic. Doubled.
Gee.
It's time things get back
imagine if the whole country had no corporate taxes. How many corporations would move their businesses back to the United States?
Make sure that rents are kept at 5% increase. Corporate rents for apartments and the like and homes are limited to 5%. We're going to make a lot of changes that I've been talking about because we're going to continue to grow this economy.
You have no business doing that.
And by the way, remember how I got so roundly criticized for being so pro-union, not labor, union. Well, guess what? I've been the most pro-union labor president in history. Not a joke. And guess what?
Not a joke. Drink.
We had the Treasury Department do a study. When unions do better, everybody does better.
Why are you whispering?
Everybody does better.
Why are you whispering?
And we talk about how, for example, remember when we talked about getting the computer chip industry back in the United States? Used to be 40% of the industry. We invented the chip. 40% of the industry was in the United States. And former presidents decided that the best way to do it is find the cheapest labor in the world.
The president, no president did that.
What the product was.
What are you talking about?
And so what did I do? I was told not to go over to Asia, including Europe, but Asia. And I remember going to
Who told you not to go there?
Convincing them.
Who told you not to go there, Joe?
$20 billion.
Who told you not to go there? You make shit up.
Computer chip factories. And I asked why when they finally decided to do it. And the answer was because you have the safest economy in the world, and you have the best workers in the world.
And we're the most debt.
So the whole idea here is we've invested, there's over $50 billion in investment in computer chip manufacturing.
Look, it's great that we're bringing computer chip manufacturing back here.
None of you thought that would happen.
Nobody thought about it.
It's happening. And it's going to grow economies. All three. And by the way, red states and blue states. Matter of fact, there's as much in red states as blue states. I've made no distinction. So my generic point is that the idea
drink.
We can't continue to build and grow the economy, make it fairer. And like I said, from my standpoint...
He's rambling on too long.
When the middle class does well...
Now he's just rambling.
That's when the whole economy grows. The poor have a shot, the wealthy do well. But the wealthy got to start paying their taxes.
As a follow-up, sir, you mentioned that your Vice President Kamala Harris would be ready to serve on day one. Can you elaborate on that? What is it about her attributes and her accomplishments over the last 4 years that make her ready to serve on day one if necessary?
First of all, the way she's handled the issue of freedom of women's bodies to have control over their bodies. Secondly, her ability to handle almost any issue on the board.
What has she done?
This was a hell of a prosecutor. She
What has
was
she
a
done?
first-rate person, and in the Senate she was really good. I wouldn't have picked her unless
She was
I thought
only
she
in the
was
Senate for 3
qualified to be
years.
president.
She did nothing.
From the very beginning. I made no bones about that. She is qualified to be president. That's why I picked her. Felicia Schwartz, Financial Times.
This is
Thank
not
you,
a big
Mr.
bright
President.
press conference.
Presidency is the most straining job in the world, and it's 24/7. How can you say you'll be up for that next year, in 2 years, in 4 years, given the limits you've acknowledged that you have today?
When you work from 10 to 4,
The limits I've acknowledged I have?
There's been reporting that you've acknowledged that you need to go to bed earlier and your evening around 8.
That's not true. Look, what I said was, instead of my every day starting at 7 and going to bed at midnight, it'd be smarter for me to pace myself a little more. And I said, for example, the 8, 7, 6 stuff, instead of starting a fundraiser at 9 o'clock, start at 8 o'clock. People get to go home by 10 o'clock. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about, and if you looked at my schedule since I made that stupid mistake in the campaign, in the debate, I mean, my schedule has been full bore. I've done, where's Trump been? Riding around in his golf cart, filling out his scorecard before he hits the ball? I mean, look, he's done virtually nothing. And I don't know how many, don't hold me to it, roughly 20.
Trump made a strategic decision to allow this to simmer, allow this to percolate, all this for the debate, and he just let it. He's been remarkably silent, and it's been amazing because he doesn't have to say anything. Everyone else has got the knives out for Joe already.
20 major events, some with thousands of people showing up.
Ooh, crowd size.
And so I just think it's better. I always have an inclination, whether I was playing sports or doing politics, just to keep going, not stop. I just got to just pace myself a little more. Pace myself. And the next debate, I'm not going to be traveling into 15 time zones a week before.
The week before, he spent the entire week at Camp David preparing for the debate. By the way, they changed the sign language interpreter again. I don't know what's going on there.
Anyway, that's what it was about. That's what it was about. And by the way, even with that, I love my staff, but they add things all the time. At the very end.
Oh, don't fuck with your staff.
I'm catching hell from my wife for that. Anyway. I'm sorry, Zeke Miller, Associated Press.
Thank you, Mr. President. 2 questions for you. First, on the NATO Summit, President Zelensky, in your meeting with him, he pressed you to lift your limitations on the Ukrainian use of American weapons, saying that, in his public remarks afterwards, saying that Ukraine cannot win the war unless those limitations are lifted. Are you reconsidering your position on that? And then secondly, following up on Felicia's question there, leaders of your own party have said that they're not worried about that debate. They're worried about the next bad night and the bad night after that. How can you reassure the American people that you are up to the task and that there won't be more bad nights at a debate stage or somewhere else?
First thing about Zelensky asking for the ability to strike deep into Russia.
That's not what he asked.
We've allowed Zelensky to use American weapons in the near term, in the near or abroad, into Russia. Whether or not
he shouldn't be answering this question.
He should be attacked, for example.
He shouldn't be answering this question at all.
He's not. But if he had the capacity to strike Moscow, strike the Kremlin, would that make sense? It wouldn't.
No, so prolong the war.
What's the best use of the weaponry he has, and the weaponry we're getting to him? I've gotten a more long-range capacity, as well as defensive capacity. And so our military is where I'm following the advice of my commander-in-chief, the chief of staff of the military, as well as the Secretary of Defense and our intelligence.
Your
chief.
commander-in-chief.
And we're making a
Ron
day-to-day
Klain.
basis on what they should and shouldn't go, how far they should go in. That's a logical thing to do. Second question related to
Bad nights, sir. How can you reassure the American people that you won't have more bad nights, whether they be on a debate stage or it's a matter of foreign policy?
I'm having one right now, so we'll just see what happens.
The best way to assure them is the way I assure myself, and that is, am I getting the job done? Am I getting the job done? Can you name me somebody who's gotten more major piece of legislation passed in 3.5 years? I created 2,000 jobs.
How about you talk about the
last week.
future?
So if I slow down,
Wait,
I
whoa,
can't
whoa,
get
whoa!
the job done.
Wait! Did he just say he created 2,000 jobs last week? You mean the government hired 2,000 new people? What, did he actually say that?
Last week. 3.5 years. Can you name me somebody who's gotten more major piece of legislation passed in 3.5 years? I created 2,000 jobs just last week.
Oh my God!
So if I slow
How
down,
did he
I
do
can't
that?
get the job done. That's a sign that I shouldn't be doing it. But there's no indication of that yet. None. What we got here?
He can't find him. He can't find him.
Pulaski Radio.
Thank you, Mr. President. How are you?
I'm well.
The elections in the US have consequences around the world. You have pretty high standing in Europe. I just asked President Macron about you, and he said we are happy to have him as the President of the United States. But there is a concern. Many people in Poland and across Europe are worried that the former president may win the election. And there's a lot of concern that
I don't care what you fucking think.
Donald Trump may weaken NATO, stop supporting Ukraine, or push Ukraine to give up territories to Russia.
They're correct.
And yourself was warning just 2 minutes ago about it. So my question is, do you think that Europe will be left on its own if Donald Trump wins the election? And what's your advice
You have no
to European
idea.
leaders to prepare for possible US disengagement?
Well, look,
If I lose and that happens, I have nothing to do with
I
it.
think, how can I say this without sounding too self-serving? I'm not having any of my European allies come up to me and say, Joe, don't
She has no
run."
idea what he just said.
What I hear them say is, you've got to win. You can't let this guy come forward. It'd be a disaster. It'd be a disaster. I mean, I think he said in one of his rallies, don't hold me to this recently.
Don't say it if you don't know
NATO,
it.
I just learned about NATO or something to that effect. Foreign policy has never been his strong point. And he seems to have an affinity to people who are authoritarian. That worries, as I tell you from Poland, that worries Europe. That worries Poland. And nobody, including the people of Poland, think that if he wins in Ukraine, he's going to stop in Ukraine, that that's going to be the end of it. And so what I can say is, I think I'm the best qualified person to do the job, to make sure that Ukraine does not fall, that Ukraine succeeds, that the European alliance stays strong. You may recall, no one was talking about Finland joining NATO. I remember talking to Putin right after we got elected in Geneva, and he was talking about what we should do.
The encroachment of NATO on Russian territory?
Europe, et cetera. And I said, you're looking for the Finlandization of Ukraine, because you're going to get the NATOization of Finland. And about 4 weeks later, I got a call. No, that's not true. Probably 5 months later, from the president of Finland, could he come and see me? In my office, and I invited him to the Oval Office. We sat down and talked. He said he wanted to join NATO. Could I help? And I did. It wasn't automatic. And then I got a call from the Swedes. I I beg your pardon? And so Finland joined NATO. 800-mile border is a significant, and they were already allies, but they weren't part of NATO. And you heard, I think you heard, maybe, I can't recall whether he said it publicly or in our closed meeting, but he wouldn't mind it being repeated.
Good point, Damien.
He said, we decided in Finland, the people of Finland decided they had to be part of NATO. It was in our interest because of the joint ability to be together to dissuade any attack on Finland. And the same thing with Sweden. It took a lot of...
So the point that Damien made, if NATO didn't exist, or if we weren't in it, it wouldn't prevent us from acting. We just wouldn't be beholden to them. That is true. That is
selling to some folks, particularly in Turkey and other places, to agree to the expansion. But it expanded. And we're a hell of a lot stronger because of it. We're more secure because of it. And by the way, I was able to get 50 other nations.
How were we more secure because of it?
To support Ukraine. 50. And we were able to bring about a coalition of Europe and Asia, Japan and South Korea. I just met we talked about AUKUS, and we talked about the relationship between Australia, New Zealand, Japan, South Korea, the United States. We're making the world safer and stronger because we have to deal with the new arrangement that exists in the world. The Cold War is over. The post-war era is over. What is going to replace it? And I respectfully suggest I have a pretty good idea what that should be. I've convinced a lot of people to follow it, and we're just going to get stronger. David Sanger. Where's it?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Be nice, David.
Mr. President, the NATO declaration that was issued yesterday was very notable because it described China as a decisive enabler of the war in Ukraine for its provision of critical goods to the Russians. That's part of a broader partnership that seems to have cemented in place in the past 2 or 3 years. I think one that you were a little bit doubtful of when we asked you about it some time ago. So I'd be interested to know whether you have a strategy now of trying to interrupt the partnership between China and Russia, and whether or not in a second term you would pursue that, if you could describe that strategy to us. And along the way, could you also tell us whether you think, just to follow up on Felicia's question, that if you were in a room with Vladimir Putin again, the way you were 3 years ago, or with President Xi, that a few years from now you will be able to go negotiate with them, handle them one-on-one?
Well, the first part of the question is, we discussed and I raised in the NATO Summit, and others raised, the future of China's involvement, what they're going to do. What they're doing with Russia in terms of accommodating, facilitating, they're getting access to additional, they're not supplying weapons themselves, they're supplying mechanisms for them to be able to get weapons. And China's position is basically, and I've spent more time with Xi Jinping than any world leader has.
Oh no! If he's
over 90 hours since being vice president,
if he's going to talk about 15,000 miles,
and by the way, I handed all my notes. But my point is that
that was a shot at
believes
Trump.
That China is a large enough market that they can entice any country, including European countries, to invest there in return for commitments from Europe to do A, B, C, or D, or not to do certain things. What's happened is we had a long discussion about what we have to make clear. China has to understand that if they are supplying Russia with information and capacity, along with working with North Korea and others to help Russia in armament, that they're not going to benefit economically as a consequence of that by getting the kind of investment they're looking for. And so, for example, we're in a situation where we've reestablished direct contact with China after that, remember the balloon, quote unquote, going down, and all of a sudden things came to an end? Well, we set up a new mechanism. There's a direct line between Xi and me, and our military has direct access to one another, and they contact one another when we have problems. The issue is that we have to make sure that Xi understands there's a price to pay for undercutting both the Pacific Basin as well as Europe, and as relates to Russia and dealing with Ukraine. And so we, for example,
the longer he rambles, the worse it
China,
gets.
As you know this area really well. When you invest in China, you have to have a 51% Chinese owner. You have to make sure that you do by their rules, and you don't have the authority, and that you have to provide all access to all the data and information you have.
And you have to have my son as one of your investors.
There was a while there, as you recall, the last administration and other administrations, where the access to that market was enticing enough to get companies to come in, because they had access to over 1 billion people in a market, not 1 billion, but a lot of people in the market, and so they were doing it. But that got curtailed.
This is
when we
tiresome.
started saying we're going to play by the same rules. For example, the idea they don't abide by international rules related to subsidizing products by the government funding. So guess what? They're not going to be able to export their electric vehicles to the United States without a significant tariff. Others are doing the same thing around the world. But it is a concern. It is a concern.
He is
that
absolutely
you have
AD.
both
Yes, he is. He's parroting Trump's talking points about China. It's almost like he bought some crib notes.
China, North Korea, Russia, Iran, countries that are not necessarily coordinated in the past, looking to figure out how they can have impact.
Do you have a strategy to interrupt that impact?
Yes, I do, but I'm not prepared to talk about the detail of it in public. And I think
Leave
you'll
it at
see
that.
that some of our European friends are going to be curtailing their investment in Russia. In China, as long as China continues to have this indirect help to Russia in terms of being able to help their economy, as well as help them in, as a consequence of that, their ability to fight in Ukraine. The other thing that we talked a lot about.
Oh God, shut up! Just answer the next question.
And I raised it, and I didn't hear any. I can't swear that everyone agreed, because not everyone got to talk about it. But we need a new industrial policy in the West. For example, we talked about how both the EU as well as NATO has to be able to begin to build their own munition capacity, has to be able to generate their own capacity to provide for
Okay, we're going to
weapons
speed this
and
ahead.
the ability to. It came as a surprise to some of us how we had fallen behind in the West in terms of the ability to construct new material, new weaponry, new.
You're just getting here. He's not talking this fast. I am just putting it on 1 1/4 speed just to get caught up.
New everything from vehicles to weapon systems. And so one of the things that came out of this was, we're going to be meeting again with a number of my colleagues, my European colleagues, is what do we do to increase the capacity of the West, particularly in Europe and Japan, to be able to generate the kind of ability to produce their own weapon systems. Not just for themselves, but to be able to generate that. It's the same, that's what Russia's trying to figure out. That they went to China and they didn't get the weapons, but then they went to North Korea. But we're going to be in a position where the West is going to become the industrial base for the ability to have all the defensive weapons that we need. That was a discussion as well.
Mr. President, my after you answered on whether you would be ready to go deal with Putin and Xi 2 or 3 years from now.
I'm ready to deal with them now and 3 years from now. Look, like I said, I'm dealing with Xi right now and direct contact with him. I have no good reason to talk to Putin right now. There's not much that
really?
He is prepared to do in terms of accommodating any change in his behavior. And but there isn't any world leader I'm not prepared to deal with. But I understand the generic point is Putin ready to talk? I'm not ready to talk to Putin unless Putin's ready to change his behavior. And the idea, look, Putin's got a problem.
He doesn't need you right now, Joe.
First of all, in this war that he is supposedly have won, and by the way, I think, don't hold me to the exact number, but I think that Russia had 17.3% of Ukraine that they've conquered. Now it's 17.4. I mean, in terms of percentage of territory. They've not been very successful. They've caused horrible damage, loss of life, but they've also lost over 350,000 troops, military, killed or wounded. They have over 1 million people, particularly young people with technical capability, leaving Russia because they see no future there. They've got a problem. But what they do have control of is they are very good at controlling and running the public outcry that relates to how they use mechanisms to communicate with people. They lie like hell to the constituencies. They lie like hell about what's going on. And so the idea that we're going to be able to fundamentally change Russia in the near term is not likely. But one thing for certain, if we allow Russia to succeed in Ukraine, they're not stopping in Ukraine. I recommend, I know you know this because you've written about it, read Putin's speech after they moved in, what it was all about in Kyiv. It wasn't about just, anyway, read what his objective is. And anyway, but
okay, so the fact checkers are probably going to have a field day with this too. There's a lot of things he's saying that citation needed. I don't know. Thank you, Efcas Diablo, who says, "Oh, hey, when did my favorite ASL woman of all time return?" Yeah, they keep changing them. I don't know what's going on there.
So I think that I'm prepared to talk to any leader who wants to talk, including if Putin called me and wanted to talk. Last time I talked to Putin was trying to get him to work on an arms control agreement related to nuclear weapons in space. That didn't go very far. So my point is,
nuclear
I'm prepared
weapons
to talk
in
to anybody,
space.
but I don't see any inclination. What? There is an inclination on the part of the Chinese to keep in contact with me because they're not sure where this all goes. And look what's happened in Asia. We have strengthened
he needs
the
to stop
Asian
going
Pacific area more than anyone else has. We just put together with.
What his problem is, he rambles off into other topics that don't have anything to do with the question, and he sets himself up for more mushmouth bullshit.
Today I brought on. I asked our NATO allies that we bring on.
And they changed it. Now they changed the guy again.
The South Pacific, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Australia.
The ASL interpreters are getting worn out.
And I met twice now, I think, with the 14 leaders of the Pacific Island nations. And we've slowed down what's going on there. We've slowed down China's reach. But there's a lot of work to do. This is a moving target, and I don't take it lightly. Assam from NPR.
Thank you, Mr. President. Asma Khalid with NPR. I have two questions. Earlier, you spoke about the ceasefire plan between Israel and Hamas. We're now looking at 10 months of war, and I'm curious if there's anything that you feel personally you wish you would have done differently over the course of the war. And then secondly, if I may, I wanted to ask you about your presidential campaign. I remember covering your campaign in 2020, and there was a moment where you referred to yourself as a, quote, bridge candidacy, a transition to a younger generation of leaders. I want to understand what changed.
Two things. Let's go back to when you talked about would I have changed anything that's happening with Israel and the Palestinians and the Palestinian movement. The answer is, as you recall, from the very beginning.
Yes, the Palestinians wouldn't have started a war.
I went to Israel, but I also got immediate contact with al-Sisi in Egypt. I met with the King of Jordan. I met with most of the Arab leaders to try to get a consensus going as to what had to be done to deal with getting more aid and food and medicine into the Gaza Strip. And we pushed it really hard. And Israel occasionally was less than cooperative, number one. The Israeli War Cabinet, I've been dealing with Israel since Golda Meir. Some of the reporters around here come me all the time have heard me say this. The first time I met with Golda Meir, I sat across from her on her desk.
There he goes,
and
in
her
another
assistant
subject.
was Rabin sitting next to me.
When would, remember, Golda Meir, I think, might have been done in Israel in 1973 when Joe Biden would have first gotten into politics. Why would he have been sitting across from Golda Meir? This is going to be fact checked.
That's how far back I go. I know Israel well, and I support Israel. But this war cabinet is one of the most conservative war cabinets in the history of Israel.
Yes, they believe in winning wars.
There's no ultimate answer other than a two-state solution here. And so what was able to be done in terms of the plan I put together was it would be a process for a two-state solution. And we get the Arab nations to, particularly from Egypt to all the way to Saudi Arabia,
the Palestinians have rejected every two-state solution proposal,
so that they could keep the peace in Gaza without Israeli forces staying in Gaza. The question has been from the beginning, what's the day after in Gaza? And the day after in Gaza has to be, the end of the day after has to be no occupation by Israel on the Gaza Strip.
Which there wasn't.
As well as the ability for us to get in and out as rapidly as you can, all that's needed there. I've been disappointed that some of the things that I've put forward have not succeeded as well, like the port we attached from Cyprus. I was hopeful that would be more successful. But that's why when I went to Israel immediately after the massacres that occurred at the hands of Hamas, the one thing I said to the Israelis, and I met with the war cabinet and with Bibi, don't make the same mistake America made.
He met with their war cabinet?
There's no need to occupy anywhere. Go after the people who did the job. You may recall, I still get criticized for it, but I was totally opposed to the occupation and trying to unite Afghanistan. Once we got bin Laden, we should have moved on, because it was not no one's ever going to unite that country.
Well, you had another president in the office that you could have done that. But of course, Joe, you know how to fuck things up.
All the way to the north. I said, don't make the same mistake we made. Don't think that's what you should be doing, is doubling down.
That's not what they're interested in.
We'll help you find the bad guys, Sinwar and company. And all this criticism about I wouldn't provide when the weapons they needed. I'm not providing them 2,000-pound bombs. They cannot be used in Gaza or any populated area without causing great human tragedy and damage. But remember what happened when you had the attack on Israel with rockets and ballistic missiles. I was able to unite the Arab nations as well as Europe, and nothing happened.
What
nothing got hurt. It sent an incredible lesson to what was going on from the Middle East.
He just makes shit up.
There's a lot of things, in retrospect, I wish I had been able to convince the Israelis to do. But the bottom line is we have a chance now. It's time to end this war. Doesn't mean walk away from going after Sinwar and Hamas. And if you notice, you know better than most, there is a growing dissatisfaction on the West Bank from the Palestinians about Hamas. Hamas is not popular now. And so there's a lot of moving parts. I just have to keep moving to make sure that we get.
Damien, it's supposed to be a big boy press conference because it's supposed to be a normal press conference, not one where they feed him a list of people to call on. Thank you, Avocados Diablo. Who says, for a big boy press conference, I expected more talk of hamburgers and fries and things like that. Thank you.
Get as much done as we can toward a ceasefire, and get those. And by the way, look at the numbers in Israel.
What numbers? What are you talking about?
My numbers are better in Israel than they are here.
What are you talking about?
A lot of other people here too. But
what
anyway.
are you talking about? What are numbers in Israel?
Bridge candidacy in 2020, you referred to yourself as being a bridge candidate for a younger, fresher generation of Democratic leaders, and I wanted to know what changed.
What changed was the gravity of the situation I inherited in terms of the economy, our foreign policy, and domestic division. And I think, I won't put words in anybody's mouth.
So he's saying no other Democrat can do what I can do.
Most presidential historians give me credit for having accomplished more than most any president since Johnson and maybe before that.
What
major piece of legislation
historians?
Passed. And what I realized was
the New York Times and the Washington Post say I've done more than anybody.
Have the wisdom to know how to deal with the Congress to get things done. We got more major legislation passed than no one thought would happen, and I want to finish it.
Yes.
Get that finished. If tomorrow, if we had a circumstance where there was a lineup and I hadn't inherited what I did, and we just moved things along. Anyway, it's going to change.
Last question.
Haley Bull, Scripps.
Last question. Did you hear that? This is not a big boy press conference. They gave him a list of who can ask questions, and now they're saying this is the last question. Only the people he's allowed to call on from the list. So it's a lie. Reaction Puerto Rico, dude, what is happening? This is not a big boy press conference. That's what's happening.
No, Josh Weingrove, I'm sorry, was the next one. I'll do 2 more questions.
Oh, Kareem.
Thank you, Mr. President. Many of your colleagues, Democrats on the Hill, are watching tonight as they assess what they want to say about your candidacy. I'm wondering how you're thinking of this right now. It seems like your answer is clear, but they're watching how things go tonight, tomorrow in Michigan, next week in Texas and Nevada. Are you thinking that way about how the next week or 2 goes would inform your...
Am I using that way, you said?
Are you thinking that way about how the next 2 weeks go? Will that affect your decision, or are you fully determined
the decision
on running,
that he's already made
in November as the party's nominee?
I'm determined on running, but I think it's important that I allay fears by let them see me out there. Let me see them out. For the longest time it was, Biden's not prepared to sit with us unscripted. Biden's not prepared to, anyway. And so what I'm doing is I think we've done over 20 major events, from Wisconsin to North Carolina to anyway.
Oh my
to
God.
Demonstrate that I'm going out in the areas where we think we can win, where we can persuade people to move our way, or people are already there.
He's laying fear, all right.
The thing is, we have the most extensive campaign organization of anybody's had in a long, long time.
No, you don't.
We have well over
Donors are
1,000
dropping like
volunteers
flies.
knocking on doors, making phone calls, making tens of thousands of phone calls. We have headquarters. I forget exactly how many. I want to cite a number and then find out I'm off. But we have scores of headquarters in all the toss-up states. We're organized. We're moving, and that's awful hard to replace in the near term. And here's the other thing. I was in the Senate a long time. Very proud of what I've done in the Senate.
Forever.
I was chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee for a long time, and I was chairman or ranking member and chairman of the Judiciary Committee.
And you sucked.
I'm going to be going down to the Johnson Library anyway, I'm going to be going around making the case of the things that I think we have to finish and how we can't afford to lose what we've done or backslide on civil rights, civil liberties, women's rights. There's that little button we have. Control guns, not girls. I mean, the idea, we're sitting around, this is where Kamala's so good as well. We're sitting around, more children are killed by a bullet than any other cause of death.
Except
the
abortion.
United States of America. What the hell are we doing? What are we doing? We got a candidate saying, promise the NRA, don't worry, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to do anything.
Where did this come from?
You got a Supreme Court that is what you might call the most conservative court in American history. This is ridiculous. There's so much we can do still, and I'm determined to get it done. It's about freedom. And by the way, I'll end this. Well, I'm not going to do that. Haley has to come up too, but I remember I made.
Do you remember, Joe?
A speech on democracy in Philadelphia at Independence Hall, and I'm not being critical, just observing. The bulk of the press, what the hell is he talking about that for? Democracy. You did. Democracy's not an issue. Democracy's not an issue. Except the polling data showed 60% of the people knew I was right, thought I was right. I'm not asking you a question. You don't have to answer, obviously.
Holy shit.
But do you think our democracy is under siege?
Nope.
Based on this court?
Not at all.
Do you think democracy is under siege based on
Not
Project 2025? Do you think he means what he says when he says he's going to do away with the civil service?
He never said that.
The Department of Education?
Never said that.
Sure, I mean,
should though.
We've never been here before. And that's the other reason why you say hand off to another generation. I've got to finish this job.
Will he get fact checked on the Project 2025, that Project 2025 thing? Because that's not Trump's platform. His platform is something 47 on his website. Project 2025 is by the Heritage Foundation. They keep trying to say it's Donald Trump, but it's not.
I've got to finish this job because there's so much at stake.
We've had some discussions over the past few days with your press secretary about the question of health exams, and you said you take a cognitive test every day in this job. Are you open to taking another physical or test before the election? Governor Whitmer of Michigan, for instance, said it wouldn't hurt to take a test.
Oh, that's...
Well, look, two things.
Oh,
one,
he's not going to.
I've taken
Thank you, Agenda
3
47, correct.
significant and intense neurological exams by a neurologist. In each case, as recently as February. And they say I'm in good shape, okay? Although I do have a little problem with my left foot because it's not as sensitive because I broke my foot and didn't wear the boot. But I'm good.
Oh, there's a new excuse for his stumbling.
I'm tested every single day about my neurological capacity to do decisions I make every day. You talk to my staff, all of you talk to my staff. Sometimes my staff talks a lot. But the fact of the matter is,
yeah, they're leaking like a sieve right now.
I don't think you have them telling you that all the major ideas we've undertaken haven't been in part initiated by me. I remember when the staff, I said, I'm going to go to South Korea. We're going to get the chip. What are you doing? I'm going to get Japan and Korea back together again after essentially having hostilities toward one another since the end of World War II. I'm going to move and see that we can expand it. You know, the only thing
what is he talking about?
Is help you with it. Creates a little bit of wisdom if you pay attention. And so the point I'm making is, I think it's important.
Please make a point.
That if the neurologist tells me he thinks I need another exam, and by the way, I've laid every bit of the record out. I hadn't hidden a thing. You ought to ask Trump for his, okay? I laid it all out. And every single day I'm surrounded by good docs. If they think there's a problem, I promise you, or even if they don't think it's a problem, they think I should have a neurological exam again, I'll do it.
There's only 2 minutes left.
No one's suggesting that to me now. And I'll ask you another question. No matter what I did, No one's going to be satisfied. Did you have 7 knocks? Did you have 2? Who'd you have? Did you do this? How many times did you? So I am not opposed. If my doctors tell me I should have another neurological exam, I'll do it. But that's where I am. Haley Bull, Scripps.
Thank you, Mr. President. You said you're making decisions on a day-to-day basis when it comes to support for Ukraine. Does that mean you have not closed the door on further considering lifting restrictions for U.S.-made weapons inside Russia? And if I may, your convention is coming up where your delegates are pledged to make you the official nominee. If they have second thoughts, are they free to vote their conscience?
Obviously, they're free to do whatever they want, but I get overwhelming support. Overwhelming support.
That's dwindling daily.
I forget how many votes I won in the primary. Overwhelming. And so tomorrow, if all of a sudden I show up at the convention, everybody says we want somebody else, that's the democratic process. It's not going to happen.
Even if that means they vote for someone else?
Sure. Look, I'll end this with this. I served in the Senate a long time. I understand the impetus of candidates running for local office and whether they think the topic can help them or not. In my state of Delaware, which was a very, at least a it was a red state when I started, in terms of we now talk red and blue.
When was this?
I don't recall most of the Democratic presidents winning my state when I was a candidate. The truth of the matter is I understand the self-interest of a candidate. If they think that...
Well, you had Reagan, of course.
Running with Biden at top is going to hurt them,
then.
Then they're going to run away. I get it. But so far, go and look at the polling data in their states. Look at the in-depth... And by the way,
the idea...
I think you'd all acknowledge, and you're all experts. I'm not being solicitous about the president. You're experts on this stuff. How accurate does anybody think the polls are these days? I can give you a series of polls where you have likely voters, me versus Trump, where I win all the time. When the unlikely voters vote, he wins sometimes. The bottom line is all the polling data right now, which I think is premature because the campaign really hasn't even started. I mean, it hadn't started in earnest yet. Most of the time, it doesn't start till after September, after Labor Day.
Well, you got an early start with that debate.
A lot can happen. But I think I'm the best I believe I'm the best qualified to govern. And I think I'm the best qualified to win. But there are other people who could beat Trump too. But it's awful start from scratch. And, you know, we talk about, you know, money raised. We're not doing bad. We got about $220 million in the bank. We're doing well.
And it's drying up.
With that, you want to follow up on any of that you just asked me?
Yes. You earlier explained confidence in your vice president.
Yes.
If your team came back and showed you data that she would fare better against former President Donald Trump, would you reconsider your decision to stay in the race?
No, unless they came back and said, there's no way you can win.
Unless they gave you the 25th Amendment.
No one's saying that. No poll says that.
Mr. President,
okay.
Every poll says that.
Tonight's press conference. Thanks, everybody. This concludes.
Respectfully, earlier you misspoke in your opening answer. You referred to Vice President Harris as Vice President Trump. Right now, Donald Trump is using that to mock your age and your memory. How do you combat that criticism?
Not your age, but your decrepitness.
This concludes tonight's press conference. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, everyone.
That absolutely was not a big boy press conference. Thanks, 80, by the way. And this is probably the most appropriate chat that I didn't get to yet. Avocados Daily says, it is a big boy conference. He graduated to pull-ups. sing, I'm a big boy now. Yeah. That was not a big boy press conference. A big boy press conference means you call on people who want to ask you questions and you go until they stop asking questions, not have a list of people who you're supposed to call on. They gave him a list of people to call on. And notice Peter Doocy wasn't one of those people. No right-wing media had a chance. Now, the last reporter there that got the words in, after he called Kamala Harris Vice President Trump, that was, I mean, that and him calling Zelensky Putin, were just the icing on the cake. Now, I want to go in, I'm going to do this last thing because, apparently during this press conference, Poland has attacked, or no, not, I'm sorry. Russian missiles breached Polish airspace while this was going on. And the big boy conference is terrible. No bowing to Putin. Okay, they got a lot of Biden stuff in here. Let me find the Poland part here. Let me see if there's anything on Poland. Here, let's just look it up. And then I got to go because I wasn't supposed to be this late. Poland. Let's see. Anyone who says this is an invasion. Okay, that's Poland's last radio message. Okay, hang on. I don't have anything. I don't have any links here talking about this. Poland has deployed 17,000 troops to the Belarus border, though. Yeah, I'm not getting anything here. Look, what we're going to do is we'll talk about that tomorrow because I got to go, unfortunately. But that was a shit show. He does not. He had no focus whatsoever. And let's see. Oh wait. Oh, you answered Scott Adams with my name. Biden is Putin his pants right now because CNN and MSNBC are both saying one wrong word will be the end of his presidency. No pressure. Well, he called Vice President Harris Vice President Trump. All right, let's finish this up. One more super chat. Thank you, Avocados Diabli. Rule number 1 of having a list of predetermined people to call on: do not tell people you are doing it. Yeah, to me, that's a gaffe. That is an absolute gaffe. Polish Defense posted it on Twitter. Polish Defense. Okay, let's see. Polish Defense. Okay, here's the Polish Ministry of Defense. Apparently Belarus, well, that's from September 2023. What's the latest here? Where's the Polish Ministry of Defense? Hang on a second here. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Polish Ministry. No, that's someone named Jimmy the Great. Poland will not intercept Russian missiles attacking Ukraine unless NATO agrees. Poland. Okay, this is, here's a thread. Let me find this right now. Okay, here it is. Breaking. Poland announces it will increase the number of soldiers on the border with Belarus to 17,000. That's 8 hours ago. Someone here says Poland will not shoot down Russian missiles over Ukraine if they are flying in its direction until given permission by all NATO member states. Polish Minister of Defense Władysław Kozyniak-Kamysz said that on the Polish radio, explaining that Warsaw's position was derived from White House policy and fears. That's 8 hours ago. I want to find something current. Let's try. We'll go into the Explore tab here under News. Right now, it's all been about. Here, let me take this off the screen because I can't scroll here. It's all about Biden's blunders. Zelensky to Putin, Harris to Trump. Everything's Biden. Everything's Biden that's trending right now under news. I am not seeing this anywhere. Let's try it. Let's do a search. We'll do Russian, Poland. Okay, here we go. Check the news here. Okay, here it is. Here's Reuters. Yep, let's center that. Sorry. Maybe. This is March 24th, 2024. That's not even current. So I don't know. This is I am not finding what you're talking about here. Poland activates. Oh, here we go. No, that's March 28, 2024. Nope, I don't have anything that's current on that. So I think maybe someone posted an article from March. I don't have anything, unless you have a link. At least says Ukrainian missile bombing Poland, trying to blame onto Russia. Yeah, that's happened. You saw it post a bit of it. Yeah, the only thing I can find is from it, nothing current. So anyway, all right, guys, that's got to be it. Thanks for joining me this evening. And I'll be back tomorrow for my regular show. If you have any tomorrow. Oh, by the way, it's Free for All Friday. So if you have any articles you want to drop in, or we'll do our Friday Q&A like we normally do. That's it. This was a shit show, and I can't believe I watched the whole damn thing. And if anyone has more confidence in Biden after that press conference, they had too many shots and should stop drinking. So that's it. Got to go. My name's P-Dog Knight. I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Hey, this is P-Dog Knight, and thanks for watching today on the P-Dog Knight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm P-Dog Knight, and I'm out of here.